In this video, we will discuss the nature of both dystopian and utopian literature, as well as the role of setting. You may have heard of a little franchise called The Hunger Games, or you may have heard of other teen series called Divergent, or the Pure Trilogy, or another novel common in freshman and sophomore classes, Fahrenheit 451. In one way or another, all of these books are considered dystopian. The idea of dystopia has been around since the mid-1800s, acting as an opposite to utopia, which we'll get to in a minute. Interestingly, at least to me, the first documented use of the word dystopia was in a speech where John Stuart Mill said about the Irish land policy, "It is perhaps too complimentary to call them utopians. They ought rather to be called dystopians. What is commonly called utopian is something too good to be practicable, but what they appear to favor is too bad to be practicable." If we look at Mill's statement, we get definitions of both dystopia and utopia. While utopia is an ideal world that is too good to be true, a dystopia is just the opposite, a world that is too bad to be true. We've already acknowledged that the world and the people in it are imperfect. What dystopia does is it takes those imperfections and amplifies them to the point where they are what governs society. In the case of human shortcomings governing society, what you get is usually centered around several different factors. First, and probably most easily corrupted, is the matter of politics. Politicians already have a sort of slimy reputation in our current society, so why shouldn't they go completely bad? Look at North Korea or Germany from 1933 to 1945. Look at pre-Civil War America or ethnic cleansing in the Sudan. Things go from bad to worse, and from worse to horrifyingly unimaginable. Dystopian literature is literature that finds the line between worse and horrifyingly unimaginable and pushes society over the line as far as possible. Other factors that authors warp are religion, economics, family, identity, and the natural world. In other words, take what you know about all of those factors, add as much evil and destruction as you can imagine, and then you have scratched the surface of what dystopia portrays and examines. In the Middle Ages, chivalry was the ideal, but the reality was that the knights used a code of ideals in whatever way suited them best, for violence, rape, profit, etc. In a dystopian work, the society in question will often focus on a set of ideals, but when those ideals are in the hands of humans, they become corrupt and crumble into something unrecognizable. For instance, what could be bad about the ideas of community, identity, and stability? Or what could be the problem with peace, freedom, and strength? All of these things seem like awesome ideals, but when examined through a dystopian lens, they become terrifying realities that enslave mankind. That's why literature is awesome. It can take what we think of as desirable and show us the dangers. Literature can turn pleasure into slavery and individuality into a crime. What kinds of places are these? They are here. They are where you are sitting right now. Just as ideals of chivalry from the Middle Ages leak into our fast-paced modern world, so too can our technology-driven global society morph into a future we don't even want to imagine. That brings us to setting. As you read, setting can be both incredibly important and completely irrelevant. Setting is important because it makes the story more real to us. It gives us a frame of reference and often acts as a plot-advancing hindrance or help to the characters we're reading about. On the other hand, the purpose of literature is to act as a universally relatable stand-in for our own experiences. The characters make the mistakes so that we don't have to. Thus, setting does not matter. A nuclear bomb can detonate in Dallas as easily as it can in the lonely Bikini Atoll, where the first nuclear bomb tests occurred in the 1940s and 1950s. In 1861, a civil war began in the United States. In 2011, a civil war began in Syria. Has time taught us anything? Did the U.S. Civil War teach the Syrian Civil War anything? It doesn't seem so, unless you count more efficient killing as a lesson. Whichever dystopian novel you choose to read, keep in mind that the author's intentions were for the novel to rise above time and place to a higher thematic level that we can all learn from. Keep in mind, too, that in dystopian literature, there's always a hero. What happens to that hero? How does he or she set him or herself apart? What victory or failure do they achieve? What difference do they make? How do their victories or failures depend on a moral social code, if morals even exist? I wish you all the best as you journey into a world that is completely different from, and yet so terrifyingly the same as the world we live in.